So what's your name and what do you teach?
So my name is Josh. I teach quite a few different subjects within English and humanities. So my teaching degree is in philosophy, and I mostly focus on philosophy, English language and literature, sociology, some politics.
Okay, so a pretty mixed bag, basically.
Yeah, no math, no science.
Where did you study?
I studied at the University of Edinburgh for my bachelor's, and I received my postgraduate certificate in education from the University of Aberdeen in 2012.
Okay, so proper Scots kind of route.
yeah, very nationalistic. Well, you know, we have free university, right? It just didn't make any sense to me to go to England and pay $9,000 a year.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. What was your favorite childhood book or story?
I loved the Redwall series. Do you remember those? Did you read those?
No, I've never heard of it.
They were great. They were kids' books that were focused around this fantasy world that was populated by like mice and rabbits and like squirrels, and the mice and the squirrels were the good guys, and the bad guys like the evil rats, you know, and the evil sinister otter, whatever. And it was just a classic fight of good versus evil, you know, mammalian world. It's great.
Yeah, you got to love one of those, haven't you?
Great books.
So why do you love humanities? What is it that kind of captures you about it?
I think it's obviously super different to math and science. And I mean, studying humans and society seems to be, for me, the next move forward. I think we focus a lot on sort of scientific progress without really maybe thinking about things like political or cultural progress. And, you know, we have pretty significant global problems socially and culturally, you know, issues with race and gender and violence and political idea, economic problems all around the world. I just don't see why we would ignore the humanities. It's so clearly important when we're trying to progress society, you know, beyond simply a scientific response. It's great.
You see people as kind of the center point of a lot of things, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really not trying to diminish science. I super appreciate the value of that, really, but you know, what is the value of science if not to directly affect human society for the better? And the science is great. It provides a framework or provides a basic knowledge of where we're going, but I think we need to fill in how to get there. And I think that starts socially.
Good answer. Okay.
Did I get a job?
Who inspires you the most?
Lots of people. Just pick someone inspirational. I mean, I think I, like many other teachers, was inspired by the teachers I had. So I was very lucky to have extremely good teachers, and I was also very lucky to have extremely bad teachers. There's a learning, there's a lesson to be taken from that, and it's helped me in the way I teach. But you know, my philosophy teacher when I was at school was amazing. I was a young kid in a new country. I was pretty all over the place, and he was more than patient. You know, he went above and beyond to make sure I settled and that I understood everything, and you know, holistically, that I wasn't just academically passing, but I was mentally and emotionally in a good place. And you know, great guy.
You looked after your welfare as well as your education, you could say.
Exactly, it was holistic. And you know, when I was younger, my educational achievement was pretty spotty. There was a lot of stuff going on, and I had good moments and bad moments. And you know, for me, looking back, students, you know, life is challenging at times. You know, there has to be some kind of understanding of the context that a student is within, and making a student feel worse because they don't understand something, because they're unable to engage in that process, doesn't help. It makes the process worse. What we're looking for is long-term educational achievement. You know, whether that's up or down momentarily, we're looking for long-term progression.
Okay. In 3 words, describe your teaching style.
Holistic, engaging, and fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully, hopefully the three come together to provide something that can be remembered. Students are not going to remember anything they don't enjoy.
Yeah.
It's simple. So that's the first hurdle. I'm a teacher, I'm not just interested in academic achievement. That's not true. I don't think academic achievement comes without emotional and mental security. So I think they're trying to develop all of those things together is pretty vital.
Okay. Like if you take a person, it's kind of like your interest in people in general, isn't it? If you take a person as just a set, like you analyze them as a set of like academic processes, you're probably not going to get that far with them. Whereas if you look at them as a full-rounded human being, you're probably going to get a bit further.
Sure. People are puzzles, when we sit down in front of a puzzle, we don't just look at the corners and the angles and try to figure out what goes in. We look at the picture as well. Yeah. We don't just look at the shapes. We try to start in the corner. We try to fill in the edges, right? That's the first part of a puzzle, and you can fill in the middle. I mean, humans are the same. We're all pretty different, and everyone's puzzle looks a little bit different. You just gotta do what you need to do to figure it out. Be flexible. Same general process, but variations to all of those.
Okay. Why are the humanities important to you, do you think?
I think it's beyond learning about people in society. I think the humanities put a lot of focus on logical thought process, which I think is really, really valuable. Recognizing validity of information, not just the validity of information, but the accuracy of the original source it comes from, and then trying to figure out how that information actually has an impact on society, what the actual consequence of that is. Logical processing, I think, is undercooked a little bit. We get look at the world. You get a rapidly growing anti-vax movement, for example, which to me seems to be a misunderstanding of logical processes. Correlation is not equal causation, etc. And I think that has been missed a little bit. The logical processes of humans, of behavior, of interaction, of politics, government, society.
Yeah, we often think of science as a very logical process, but I think we forget that can also exist in the humanities as well, looking at things maybe more roundedly. I think it's the macro, isn't it?
Absolutely.
From the macro, and science will zoom in and look at things from the micro. Literally, they have microscopes.
Yeah, exactly. And we often create this kind of dichotomy between the two subjects, so there's no overlap between them, which is just wrong. To go back to the anti-vax idea, that's not illogical. There is a logical process that leads to that belief. That I see people getting vaccines. I also see people having injuries. And there's a connection there. It's not illogical. And I guess the process that we're trying to achieve is to work on that logical process, identify, valid logical thinking, maybe some, irrational reasoning, those kinds of things. Okay,
and then last question you'll be relieved to hear is, give me your top tip for the humanities. What is your kind of big thing in your head that, like, if a student comes to you, you're like, this is what you have to nail first?
Okay, I'll include English in this because I think it's the same skill. Students explaining themselves, explaining their ideas to completion. So I'd say the single biggest student failure is their inability to their inability to fully explain their idea with precision. A lot of students will say, imagining English language, for example, what the students might say, the author at this point has used a metaphor. The author has used a metaphor. Why? Why? It's great that you've identified that. It's great, but what idea are you actually thinking about? What is the value of this? What is the purpose of this? What is the effect of this? What are you trying to say? Philosophy, Immanuel Kant believes that an action is moral if it follows a categorical imperative, it follows a set of rules. Fine. What do you think? Really, I think students a lot of the time, they present data, they repeat information back to us, And that's great, and that's the start. But at the higher levels, what we're really looking for is student analysis, student evaluation of those ideas. And students being able to explain their own thoughts as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's coming back to like key paragraphs, isn't it? It's like point evidence, explain. It's very key, isn't it? So
Exactly.
okay, well, thank you, Josh. That was really helpful.
Great, thank you, Noel. It was really nice to meet you, chat to you.
Yeah.